Recently, Sandy and I took an epic trip to South America. It was January, which would be their summer because it's in the southern hemisphere. We started in Argentina. We visited Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, the Falkland Islands, cruised through the Antarctic, then to the tip of South America, and then up the eastern or the western side of South America along Chile, and ended up in Santiago, Chile, and took a trip up into the Andes Mountains. Please enjoy. As we look at some exotic trees, plants, flowers, plus me getting spit on at point blank range by a llama. So here's an interesting tree. We're right by the waterfalls. And these are two trees. This here is the original tree. It's an acacia. And this is a ficus. And it's literally strangling the tree. It's growing all around it. Ficus, acacia. And then this is all the ficus leaves here. But the acacia leaves are way up, and you can't even see them hardly. They're up in the crown up there. And these are all, this trunk mostly is all the ficus is growing up and over the top of the acacia. The ficus is growing and strangling it. Not strangling it, but suffocating it. Kind of like English ivy. Here's an acacia tree here. And it's got fine leaves. This is just across the path from it, from the tree we're looking at. And here we have the mighty Monday Falls in Paraguay. And look at that little tree out there on that island. I don't know what kind of tree it is, but it's hanging on for dear life, clutching to that little island rock. Amazing. And surrounding this mighty falls is a vast, impenetrable jungle full of trees and plants of all kinds that I don't have a clue what they are. Here's a giant philodendron. And then, do you know what kind of tree this is? No. Okay. And then there's a tree that grows up out of the philodendron. And this tree is full of nests from the weaver bird. And you can see that here. And they make their nests, they weave sticks and grasses together. And there's probably like 50 of them in this tree. And here's some on the ground. Some have fallen out. See, this bird weaves us all together. There's a hole here, and they lay their eggs down in there. And they build their nests in groups for protection because the toucan, the bird with the really large beak, will come in and tear a nest apart and eat the contents, eggs or the birds or whatever. And so these weaver birds build a whole bunch of nests, like a colony, and they build fake nests to fool the toucan. And that way they are guaranteed of surviving. One close up. So we're in San Martin's Plaza? Here in Buenos Aires. This is a gigantic ficus tree, Ficus macrophyllum, big leafed ficus, and this thing is huge. Reminds me kind of the banyan tree in Lahaina, Maui, but this doesn't have aerial roots that come down to support it, so they've had to put supports to support these massive branches that come out about 60 feet or more, 60, 75 feet from the central trunk. And so I'm always enthralled by large trees wherever I travel. You can see this trunk supported by these pillars of steel and concrete right there, and the trunk itself is about 4 feet in diameter that comes out, this lateral trunk all the way out here. Again, looks like about almost 100 feet to the very end. This tree is massive. All the buttress roots. The diameter of that trunk is probably a good 15 feet. Lots of huge scaffolds that come up and go up. Not terribly tall. I'm guessing it's probably about 75 feet tall, but it spreads out. Again, comes clear out. These branches come clear out. Again, probably at least 75 feet on this side, 100 feet on that side. And wow, look at the trunk on this side, and it's all the various trunks that come down. There has been some aerial roots that have come down and established themselves as trunks. Aerial roots next to the central stem. And here, the tree is probably almost 20 feet wide. Beautiful tree. It goes from this side over to this side. So the width of the tree is probably at least 150 feet wide. Pretty impressive. And it's not, again, now I'm looking at it, it's probably not any more than about 60 feet tall at the most. Chilean pine. But this one's in Uruguay. We are now at the far tip, southern tip of South America near Ushuaia, Argentina. Beyond that is the Drake Passage where the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans meet. And beyond that is the vast continent of Antarctica. And of particular interest to this arborist is the Nothofagus beech trees, false beech trees. There's several varieties, and we're looking at a forest of evergreen Nothofagus betuloides or Magellan beeches, but also mixed in this area are the lobed or non-serrated deciduous beeches, the Nothofagus pumilio, or the Lenga beech, the Lenga Nothofagus beech. Of particular interest to me as a passionate tree lover and a professional arborist is that the Nothofagus of any tree in the world is the tree that grows the furthest south in the world. And in the background you can see a whole forest of Nothofagus beech, a couple different varieties, and we are at the very tip of South America. You can't go any further. This is Tierra del Fuego, or the Land of Fire, and beyond that is the famous Drake Passage, as I mentioned before, and beyond that, a few hundred miles, is Antarctica. We have now rounded the tip or the horn of South America, and we have landed at Punta in southern Chile at the very tip of South America, and we have gone about 100 miles north in the area of Patagonia, that whole region of South America, and it's a very dry region, and we are visiting a sheep ranch. And here are, well, this is what the land looks like around here. It's very dry. Actually, today it's raining. It's summer, but it's still rather cold because we are quite far south. So all around us on this huge sheep ranch is a whole forest, both in the foreground and the background, of Nothofagus pumilio, or the Lenga beech, the deciduous variety. And here is some dwarf mistletoe growing on the Nothofagus or false beech, Nothofagus pumilio, here in the Chilean Patagonia. This is a world-famous wine-growing region where some very high-quality type wines of different varieties are grown. So now we have just left Santiago, Chile, and we are heading up into the Andes Mountains to enjoy the beauty thereof. Yes, that's me getting spit on by an irritated llama. And here is a giant agave plant. I don't know if this is the kind they make tequila out of or not, but we are about 1,000 miles north of the tip of South America, still in Chile on the western side of South America, just east of the capital of Chile, Santiago. And here is a prickly pear cactus, again in the same area as the agave. It's very kind of dry and desert-like. We are heading up into the Andes. We are probably about 150 or so miles west or east of the Pacific Ocean. And yeah, beautiful prickly pear cactus here. Agaves, and then some pampas grass, which I never saw any pampas grass in the Pampas of either Argentina or Chile, but it's all growing natively along the rivers here in the Andes, the Chilean Andes, as we have gone from Santiago, Chile, up into the Andes. It's growing wild in the river valleys. This is one of several kinds of cactuses that I see growing. Some of them are like 10 or 15 feet or more tall. And we're in a little river valley, a lot of willows and poplars. As we look up into the surrounding cliffs. So we're looking at Aconcagua, the tallest mountain in the Andes. It's like over around 22,000 feet or taller. That's it right there. One layer of mountains after the other. This has got to be one of the windiest roads on the planet as we wind our way up into the Andes Mountains. It almost makes you car sick just looking at the thing. And as you can tell by the background noise, it's very windy up in the mountains. I always wondered what it would be like to be up in the Andes. This is just a tiny little sliver of a taste. And there's wildflowers galore up here, as we are about to discover. And here is a type of morning glory growing way high up in the Andes Mountains. It's amazing to find flowers that I recognize growing here at about 9,500 feet in the Andes Mountains of Chile. Another gorgeous flower. I don't know what this is. It has a leaf like a lupin, but the flower is a little bit different, so I don't know. It's right down here, really on the edge of the lake. This flower here has a leaf like an anemone that grows in the Cascade Mountains of Oregon and Washington, though I'm not sure if that's what it is or not. I was totally enraptured and fascinated by the plethora of flowers that grow at almost 10,000 feet around this alpine lake. This flower smells like our basket grass, squaw grass, bear grass, has several names that grow in the Cascade Mountains, though it looks different, so I don't know what it is, but we can enjoy it anyway. Here's another type of aster of some kind. I'm fascinated by the wildflowers thanks to my mother and my grandmother, who were always searching out new wildflowers, trying to identify them wherever they went in the mountains. And so it's something that I have learned to love and fascinated by the flowers. So I do this in honor of my mother, Emilu, and my grandmother, Lucy, who were mountain wildflower experts and passed that love on to